Yeah, hello there, everybody. Good afternoon. My name's Andrew Grant. Welcome to the MBM webinar. Are you making mistakes as a supplier when selling to the big four supermarkets? I'm going to be with you for about 15 minutes. First, before we start, I'm going to launch a quick poll. I'd be grateful if you could see if you can answer this question. A bit of a quiz for you. So, do have a vote as to what you think, how successful new product pitches are to the big four on average. Okay, everybody's voted. I will answer that question shortly. Okay, so I said welcome to this webinar brought to you by Making Business Matters, the UK's leading provider of consultancy and training to the suppliers to the big supermarkets. So before we get cracking, let me tell you a little bit about me. Okay, as I said, my name's Andrew Grant. I work for Making Business Matters, and my history is a buyer. I spent 20 plus years as a supermarket buyer, firstly for Sainsbury's, then Tesco, and finally at Summerfield. So I have sat across the table innumerable times from people like your good selves, and I know exactly what mistakes suppliers make, or probably more pertinent, how to do things right, what will engage buyers to want to listen to you and take your products. Much easier said than done, but it is the art of the possible. So that's what I'm going to take you through. That's my background. It's worth just having a quick look at that disclaimer. I'm no longer affiliated with any of the supermarkets that I'm going to speak about. Therefore, my views are solely those of myself and Making Business Matters. Okay, why would you want to supply these big four supermarkets? Well, simply the numbers are huge. They control roughly 75% of UK grocery spending. So if you want to be a success in UK grocery, you really can't avoid dealing with one or other of these four. And obviously those of you that are up to date with the news will know that potentially 12 to 15 months time, Sainsbury's and Asda will become the single largest retailer in the UK, instantly sidestepping Tesco, and you'll have the big three. Or alternatively, Aldi will become the fourth of the big four. So look, huge opportunities. Quickly doing those sums in my head: 80, 100, 120 plus billion of opportunity turnover for suppliers who want to sell into these players. And as I said, controlling 3/4 of all UK grocery spending. What interests them? What are their biggest challenges? This chart really just shows the absolute fundamental challenge the big four are facing, and that is that they're finding it incredibly difficult to grow. Why? Well, their average declared like-for-like growth amongst the four of them is about 2%. So they're selling in existing stores about 2% more value per year. Food inflation, as measured by the government, or the CPI, is running at 2.5%. So they're actually going backwards in volume. They're running around very busy, spending a lot of money to actually sell less items. And why is that? Well, Well, that's because as a massively sophisticated, developed and actually pretty affluent economy, we are spending less and less of our income on food. Food to be consumed in the home, that is. So long-term spend on groceries is actually declining, and there's no reason to think why that would ever stop or would slow down. We're spending much more of our disposable income on eating out, on leisure activities, and less on food in home. So they have a big issue, these big four. They've got stores in just about every single postcode. Any new stores they open will cannibalise their existing sales, and as you say, as I've just said, the total market isn't growing. So it's therefore all about their existing shoppers' loyalty. Tesco have over half the UK population shopping in their stores every week. Sainsbury's and Asda each have 12 odd million people shopping in their stores every week, and Morrison's somewhere between 8 and 10 million. So they've got a lot of shoppers. Very difficult and very expensive to switch shoppers. So it's all about getting the highest proportion of their loyalty or their total grocery spend trapped or caught in their stores. So the key to selling successfully to them is about engaging them about their shoppers. And this is the new 21st century battleground for retailers and suppliers. Shopper loyalty. First of all, understanding what it is, having access to the data that shows you the insights, and then acting on those insights to put together a proposition that engages shoppers to spend more money with you. So why is it not easy to sell to these people, especially if you're a new supplier? And this webinar is probably aimed more at new suppliers to the supermarkets. It can feel a bit like an uphill struggle, trying to push a stone uphill, getting blood out of a stone, or a complex game of snakes and ladders where there's a lot more snakes than there are ladders. They're not easy to sell into, and there's probably 4 very common mistakes that suppliers make when approaching buyers for the big 4 that means that they reduce their chances of success. So rather than call them mistakes, which is a little bit negative, I'm going to call them rules that you should follow, or rules that you should ensure that you don't break. So rule 1, don't fall into the trap of thinking that they are there to help you. They're not your friendly neighbourhood mortgage advisor or high street travel agent there to help you on your home purchase or your holiday. They are there to look the other way, to look at their shoppers, their customers, and make money selling goods. So if you do expect them to be able to spend inordinate amounts of time with you, explaining exactly how their stores and their systems work, well, it ain't going to happen. Probably the biggest mistake, in my experience, suppliers have made is they do see buyers as somebody who have lots of time and whose job is to guide suppliers with no knowledge or who haven't bothered to find the information through the process of becoming a new supplier. So first rule, they're not there to help you. If you can access them, they will listen, but you need to engage them very, very quickly. And just think of the numbers. We're talking today about the big 4. Your average category buyer could have anywhere between 70 and 200 suppliers to deal with, potentially up to 6,000 or 7,000 SKUs to deal with. They're very busy people. They don't have a lot of time, and they certainly don't suffer fools gladly. Rule 2, do your research. So as I said, I've had countless personal instances of this. You do not want to go in and try and pitch and convince a buyer that your products are worth listing when you don't even know how many regional distribution centres that you would be delivering into, or even where they are. Unbelievably, I have been asked in the past how many stores Tesco have. This is all basic information, and if you're going in asking those sorts of questions, well, just switch it the other way. What if somebody asked you the name of your business, where your factory was? What sort of impression would that create? What formats do they operate? So understand the formats, understand which of the formats are most suitable for your products. Getting into a little bit more detail, what is their range review calendar? Most of them run on specific range windows by category. They will typically, in a big category, only shake their range up twice a year, and in smaller categories just once a year, if not actually biannually. So you need to know when that window is, because your chances of getting a successful listing outside one of those windows is fairly remote. What's their ordering process? These are very sophisticated, very complex organizations. You need to understand how their ordering cycle works. Is it day one for day one, which if you're in chilled foods, it very much could be. You could literally have a 6-hour order window. Is it day one for day two? Is it day one for day three? Are your products cross-docked at the RDC, or are they stocked in RDC? Are they picked by line or picked by order? Makes a massive, massive difference to the way you pitch. But also, if you do have that information when you pitch to the buyers, they are going to give you the credit for having done your research and know a bit about their business, and it will make them feel a lot more comfortable dealing with you. Rule 3. Here's the answer to the multiple choice quiz. Something like a 2% success rate. Only 1 in 50 product pitches on average actually makes it to the shelves. So a lot of products fall by the wayside. You need to find ways of increasing your chances of success. As I said earlier, the new battleground for shoppers is their loyalty. Tesco are the preeminent forerunners with Clubcard, run by dunnhumby. However, Morrison's have their More Card driven by Prosema, and Sainsbury's have just bought Nectar to drive their Nectar reward business, as they're the only one of the big four without an overt loyalty scheme. Those loyalty schemes give phenomenal granular data about shoppers. It is expensive data to buy, and for many small suppliers and new suppliers, simply prohibitive. However, I was always a great believer in the power of qualitative research, that is opinions, views, polls, interviews. Nothing wrong for me with Vox Pops. You know, if you stand outside one of your target customer stores for 2 hours, always good to ask permission. You can probably canvass between 100 and 200 customers. Get 5 of you to do that across 5 different stores on 5 different days. You could pick up a database of 1,000 responses. That's a pretty good, solid database. And you know, add to that some video interviews. Buyers every time will fall for the video interview of one of their shoppers with their store facer in the background. For all I know, it could be your mum that you're interviewing, but because it's a shopper outside one of their stores, they will take it on board. So you don't have to spend thousands on loyalty data, particularly if you're a small supplier, but do some qualitative research, ask their shoppers and play back some of those shopper needs in your pitch. Rule 4, you do need to find ways to grab their attention. As I've already said, they are very, very busy, very time poor people. Typically, the average category buyer probably gets 20 products a week sent to them, particularly in some of the more fast-moving, innovative areas, so chilled foods, alcohol, etc. Maybe 20 products a week. So you need to find ways to grab their attention. You need to find ways to get into their diaries. I've seen every way, shape and form of doing it. Some very, very effective. but do be careful you don't fall into pantomime. So, you know, the branded vans and branded buses that park in their car parks or outside their head offices is a great way of grabbing their attention. The head office sampling event, always a feather in the buyer's cap if a brand in particular comes in and gives away products in head office. It's the buyer's opportunity to email the world and his wife how clever they've been. Yes, I've seen this work very effectively before. You know, buyers typically will drive cars into work. They will be listening to the radio. If they listen to commercial radio and they're driving into a head office in a city centre, they'll have the radio on and they will also see billboards. I have had a couple of clients who very successfully, one of them in particular was Nottingham, obviously where Boots head office is, spending a very, very reasonable amount of money, actually, a very small amount of money in comparison to the overall marketing spend of their product, simply taking out billboards on the key routes into Boots's head office and taking out some key ad breaks on the morning drive time and evening drive time shows. You know, the buyers will hear that. They won't know it's a very targeted local campaign, and they'll be interested in what the product is that they're hearing. Equally, their bosses will probably hear it and ask questions as to why they're not stocking that brand that is all over local radio and billboards. Why have I put an Andrex puppy up there? A true life story. Andrex very successfully did a puppy petting session with Tesco. Just imagine the effect of 6 darling little puppies running around reception with staff able to take selfies and photos and have a good cuddle with them. Andrex now, or Kimberly Clark now, roll that out to all the big head offices with huge success. I'm not saying go out and buy a cuddly animal, but just an example of a very innovative, interesting way of grabbing a busy buyer's attention. On the flip side, please don't go for dressing up in dolphin outfits, outfits where you are a bee or any other form of pantomime way of catching their attention. It is pantomime, it is a little bit naff. It's more likely to embarrass your buyer than actually help you in your sell. Okay, and finally, rule 5. Particularly if you're in chilled foods or short shelf life groceries, waste is the biggest single killer of new products. It can kill a new product within a week. If you're 10 days life or less, manage your own waste. Make sure that you get put into the stores that stand the most chance of selling your products. So if you've got a particularly premium product, make sure you're not in some very low demographic stores where simply the waste will kill your product and kill it very, very quickly. So as I said, if and a lot of innovation is in chilled and short shelf life, the biggest single early killer of products that there is out there. You simply just need to get your waste sorted. Okay, so time for action, coming towards the end now. What should you be doing? Well, first of all, do understand their business, understand how it operates. It will show them that you are serious, that you've taken an interest, and it will give them comfort that you know what you're doing. Understand their shoppers. I cannot emphasize just how important shopper loyalty is to the Big Four. If you are able to connect with them through their shoppers, they will listen. What's your point of differentiation? Because shopper loyalty is of massive value to them, and particularly the Big Four are worried about the leakage of loyalty to Aldi and Lidl. They are desperate for points of differentiation. Aldi and Lidl can only stock 2,500 SKUs, so the Big Four are rapidly differentiating into new, interesting, exciting products that Aldi and Lidl simply don't have the space to stock. If you are one of those new, interesting, exciting products that resonates with one of their shoppers, has a point of differentiation, you stand a good chance of success. What shopper needs do you fulfill, and what business needs do you meet? So when you've understood their shoppers, understood their business, what is it that your business does for their shoppers and their business? And do take the initiative. Do remember they're not there to help you. They're not a travel agent helping all your travel needs. They're there to listen politely, but they need to be engaged and engaged quickly. So think of novel ways of presenting without becoming too pantomime. And yes, we would, wouldn't we? It is a webinar. We are here to sell something. If you are serious about selling into one of the big four, you do feel you need some help and advice, do book one of our must-win meetings workshops today. Details to follow in a second. So that's it. I'm going to ask you now for any questions. Please do type them into the questions box. Okay, one question's just popped up. Do the big four prefer own label over brands? Okay, good question. As I said earlier, they're looking for points of differentiation. They do support brands. Brands, particularly if they've got big above the line spends, are good news for them. But differentiated own label, they will absolutely put priority on. They are desperate to find new products that aren't in, particularly Aldi and Lidl, that resonate with their customers, their shoppers. So if you have one of those own label propositions, you approach them in the right way, yes, they will listen. Right, I'm going to launch a closing poll now. So another quick question for you to answer that really will just hopefully summarize today's session. So that should be coming to you now, if you wouldn't mind choosing one of the 5 options. Okay, thank you for everyone for voting there. One final question. Just bear with me 1 second while I get the questions. Right, one question. How do you overcome the net commercial request if you have never done so? Okay, assuming that question is from a new supplier, I don't see a problem with net commercial request. Probably the simplest way of agreeing your trading terms with the buyer. However, if you're an established supplier and you do have a back and front margin trading structure with them, then it's a negotiation. You need to understand if a move from back to front, i.e. to net, will that drive the right behaviours from that buyer, from that supermarket that helps your business. A lot of them are moving to net for genuine reasons. It's not necessarily a problem. However, as I said, you need to ensure that you're comfortable that moving to net will drive the behaviours that you want. Okay, that is the last of the questions. I've taken longer than I expected, so I do hope that you've enjoyed it. Thank you for your time. Please do free to get in touch if you have any further questions when the webinar's finished, or you need any help in the future, and good luck. Okay, good afternoon and goodbye.